I definitely sprayed perfume right before I came on camera. Like, y'all can smell me. Well, welcome. My name's Imani Monet, and this is Behind the Beauty Podcast, a podcast where we share beauty tips, life tips, health tips, wellness tips, just, all around a podcast about behind the beauty, what makes someone beautiful inside and out. But yeah, I'm gonna pull out my little handy dandy journal because number one, I don't do anything in life without my journal. I have numerous journals for different things, and this one is just like my to-do list / notes journal. So a part of this, I have like what I want to discuss and talk about on this podcast, because I know I have the tendency to like ramble on, and I just know myself. So when you know yourself, you do a little bit better, right? So I wanted to just give like an update because I feel like I haven't shot this podcast in a really long time. If you've followed me on my journey of business ownership, you have seen me do podcasts since 2017, so this is not really new to me, but getting familiar with a new setup, a new location, like I haven't still decided where I want my permanent shooting location to be, and I don't feel like I'm gonna put that pressure on myself to figure it out super fast. I'm just gonna keep shooting, and wherever I feel is the most comfortable, the most productive, and that's what I'm gonna do. But anyway, in this podcast, I wanted to go over some things and start off with like my intro into beauty, because I feel like a lot of people ask me, how did I get started in the beauty industry? I don't feel like I'm young. I don't know, that's the thing, I don't feel like I'm young, but and relatively speaking with what I've accomplished, I am young. I do realize that, but I still don't feel young. So I wanted to talk about my intro into the beauty industry. My grandma actually did hair, and she never really got to like go for like a career because she had kids when she was like 16 years old, so she never really got the chance to pursue that because like she had kids. So back in the day, you have a kid, you get married, and back in the day, like a lot of women didn't really work, like unless they really had to, but women's place was like in the home. So like once she had kids and got married, it was really pretty much done. Everything that she did was on herself and for people around her. So my grandma had started doing individual lashes, and we talk about like the 60s and 70s. Like she was doing individual lashes, she was doing her brow tints, she was doing hair. Like girl, she had it going on, period. And then it led to my mom. My mom has a history in the beauty industry, and she kind of went from like sales, and then she went into like bridal makeup, and then she went to skincare. So like I saw the evolution of my mom's beauty career also change. And I remember like my mom did Mary Kay, and she won the pink Cadillac, which is a huge accomplishment. But also like, anytime where you have, and this is something I've noticed from friends who have kids now, so I can kind of say from their perspective that I see, I don't 100% know, but what I can tell is that when you have kids and you're trying to accomplish a goal, it usually takes the help of your family and your kids to make this vision and dream come true, or else it doesn't really happen. And in my mom's case, like I was there helping her with her Mary Kay parties. I was doing parties for her when she just didn't feel like she was able to, which leads me into like another topic going down the line. I'll get back to that. But I remember one time she was having a Mary Kay party, and I walked in, and she was having it in our house at the time, and Yeah, like she was like, oh, I told this person that you were gonna do their eyebrows, and I was like, what? I was like 15 years old, literally. I was like, what? I remember the day too, like the exact day, the exact moment, because I was going out, getting cute. I was going to meet my little boyfriend, and I had like this little Hollister shirt on, these little cute little jean shorts, and I just did my hair. I just blowed out my hair, and like, yeah, I was feeling like that girl. And I took a cute picture by the door. And I remember coming back home, and my mom was like, hey, like, you about to do somebody's eyebrows. I was like, what? I never did anybody else's eyebrows other than myself. Because, like, I have a unibrow, so I was like, I always did my eyebrows. Kids are mean. I started doing my eyebrows in, like, 3rd grade, and like I accidentally shaved off the one half of my entire eyebrow because I just went like this with like a razor that my mom shaved her legs with, because I was a kid and I was stupid and I didn't know any better. Like, and we didn't have YouTube and TikTok and all this stuff that people have now, kids have now. I feel like kids they just jump past the ugly stage. Like, the ugly stage really helped me build character. Like, you have to have some type of character to go around school until your eyebrow grow back. Half the eyebrow grow back. So, like, I'm really glad for that era of my life. But yeah, I learned how to do eyebrows, and then I was just like, okay, I guess I'm doing this. No wax. I just had tweezers, and don't kill me in the comments. But I had Nair, I had wax, I had tweezers and eyebrow scissors and a spoolie, and I did the crap out of her eyebrows. It was this woman who also had a unibrow, and she wanted to do her eyebrows for the first time. This woman was like in her late 20s, and I was definitely in my middle teens, and like she just was so thankful for me doing her eyebrows, and she came back to me like in 2 weeks to do her eyebrows. I was like, this lady came back to me to do her eyebrows, like she thinks I'm that good. I did it in my living room in my house. So, you know, that was like a confirmation for me. In high school, I had friends, and I always used to do my hair. I always used to curl my hair. Like in high school, I always been natural. Like if you go on my Instagram and stuff, you see like I've always had natural hair, but I've always went between like curly natural hair and straight natural hair, and like did body waves and stuff to my hair. I did so many different things. I dyed my hair a lot. Like I just did things that I wanted to do to my hair and my skincare and my makeup in high school. So I always experimented with that. It was kind of easy for me because I had like a room in my house, because my mom was in the beauty industry, right? So I had a room in the house that like literally my mom had all these beauty products, and I would just sneak them, and she, you know, and she'd be like, is that foundation on your face? I was like, no. No, and dang well that's foundation. So I started doing like people's hair in high school, like curling it after school. Like, girl, can you curl my hair after school? Okay, I'll do some pink curls on you, girl. I'll straighten your hair. I'll like, you know, I'll even style your hair naturally, like, cause you know, a lot of people didn't do that, and I just always wore my hair natural. Like I loved going between straight and curly hair like that. I just loved it. But yeah, that's kind of my intro into the beauty industry before high school. So after high school, I really honestly didn't know what I wanted to do. I knew that I wanted to own a business, right? I knew I wanted to own a business. I knew that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. It's something that I wanted because my mom actually was an entrepreneur, and while there's a lot of downsides of being an entrepreneur, which I feel like people don't speak about, especially like when you're a mom and you're the matriarchy in the family, there are a lot of upsides as well, especially now, you know, especially in the world that we're living in now. There are a lot of ups and downs. But I felt like some of the ups were things that I could make even better that I saw from her end, and some of the downs I felt like I could have made them like mid. And again, I'm gonna talk about this later, about like into details. I just want to let y'all know like what my actual like career journey has been, because I feel like people think I just woke up one day, my mom gave me the money, and I started a brand. Like that's just not how it happened. I don't come from a family that has like generational wealth, or even like any type of wealth that you can pass down. Well, I won't say any type of wealth, because knowledge and education is definitely wealth, but knowledge and education without funds, without connections, and without other things, it can just lead to nothing, you know? It could just lead to nothing. So like, I'm very aware that I have experience in seeing an entrepreneur be an entrepreneur close hand, and like my mom taking me through the steps of like being an entrepreneur. She putting me in certain rooms as a kid. Like, she had a friend who was also an entrepreneur, who was a fashion designer. When I was younger, I wanted to be a fashion designer. I did design clothes. I did design men's wear and women's wear. It was successful. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, I tried it, it didn't work out, and I went to something else. I just wasn't passionate about it. I didn't want to do it and wake up every day and be like, this is what I do. I kind of did it because I liked it, and then also it was something different from what my mom was doing. You know, when you have a parent that is actually like really successful in their field, in their career, it can be like a big like shoe to fill, you know? Like, I was in 10th grade. I remember I was in 10th grade. It was literally like my birthday, and my mom got asked to be in a Marie Claire magazine ad for the company that she worked for, and I was like, what the heck? Like, are you serious? And I'm supposed to do something next? Like, what the, like, you know, like, it was really intimidating as a kid to like have those steps. And then like, people in the neighborhood know my mom does, know my mom's successful, know my mom is traveling in her field respectively, know that my mom drives a car to show her success in that field. Know that my mom was a single mom who owned a home and like did these things. So it was just like a lot on me mentally, and like, you know, and it wasn't even necessarily people put that pressure on me, but you can feel that pressure when you're just like trying to figure yourself out as a teen, you know? So I tried to go the complete opposite realm of her, and into fashion. And then I just realized, like, in fashion, like in beauty also, there's like a community, but I didn't necessarily like the fashion community behind the scenes. Like, I don't necessarily like the beauty community behind the scenes, but the fashion industry, I feel like, is a whole nother beast. Yeah, maybe I can bring somebody on to this podcast that can actually talk about the fashion industry in depth, because like, I feel like that stuff, like, I mentally just was not prepared for that at a younger age. And definitely glad that I had the insight to know I wasn't prepared for that and like pivot away. But yeah, so after high school, I wasn't sure about if I wanted to go to college or not. I took like 9 months off because I also graduated high school at 17, so I just wasn't in a super rush. Even though my mom was like, you going to college or you getting out this house? Like, so I was like, okay, let me get a job. So I got like a job at the mall. I got 2 jobs actually. One where I worked at Lord & Taylor, and then one where I worked at Andrew Mark. It was like a leather store. And yeah, I started working at Lord & Taylor. The checks is alright, but Andrew Mark was hitting. It was enough for me to leave the Lord & Taylor job and be able to start investing in myself. Like, I started to be like, okay, I want to start this business. How do I start this business? I started my clothing brand. So like, I was taking my checks, saving it, number one, for school, because I know that I had to go to school in the next semester, which was like spring semester, and instead of like fall semester, because my mom was like, it's either you go to school or you get out. There was no like other option. So I was like, I'm gonna start saving for school, and I enrolled myself in school. That's another whole topic, like how I just didn't have the resources to actually go to school. I got accepted into really good schools, and I wasn't able to go because I just didn't have the help, you know? I didn't have the help financially, or just even like a parental figure just being there walking me through the process of like, this is how you apply to college, this is how you apply to scholarships, this is how you do this is how you do that. Like, you know, I just didn't have that guidance because like, a lot of people in my family didn't go to college and stuff like that. A lot of people were in trade school or they did a trade. So I was familiar with that. My dad did go to college, but at the time we weren't, like, he wasn't in my life at all. So yeah, it just led me down like, okay, I'm gonna go to school. Then my fashion brand started taking off, and I was showing my mom like, hey, this is taking off. I want to focus on this more, like, just talking. And she was just like, okay, if this is financially stable, go ahead and do it. But you still need to be bringing in money. Like, you need to have a job. You need to have a schedule. So my mom like really was like, a job equals a schedule equals productivity. Like, growing up, it was really like productivity based, and that is something that kind of like mentally boggles me now, because like when I'm not actively doing work, sometimes it feels like I'm not being productive. Even if I'm resting after I did so much work, it still sometimes doesn't feel productive, and that's not true and honest. Resting is productive, especially when you need to restore your body and get to the point where you can go back to work and enjoy it. Even if you do something that you love every day, like it can get tiring or overwhelming or like repetitive. So you want to be able to take breaks and do other things that you like and enjoy, love. So when you're doing the thing that like you have to do, in a sense, it doesn't feel like work. But yeah, so after that, I like I said earlier, I didn't really like the fashion industry behind the scenes. So I was just like, what can I do that like feels like every day I can do this. I don't feel bad about it. Like, even if I'm tired, I still like it and love it and have interest in it. So like, so what happened? Oh, okay. So I was always blogging. So I had a blog. It was self-named imanimonay.com. It's still up. And I had always been doing partnerships with other brands. Like, I've worked with Johnson & Johnson, problematic. But I've worked with Johnson & Johnson. I've worked with camera brands. I've worked with Puma. I've worked with Converse. I've worked with so many different brands. As a blogger, I've always loved being on the internet and like being like a blogger. Like, I just wanted to do it. Like, I knew that it was a new thing back in the day, so I hopped on it pretty quick. And while I became inconsistent as like my beauty business grew, it was because I found a new like outlet and a new passion. And honestly, as a creator, when more creators started coming out, the check started hitting a little bit less. Like, I'm not gonna lie. And like, so many different rules started coming out, and I was just like, this is too much. When I was doing blogging, it was like a part-time job for me. So like, I had AdSense, I had brand deals, I had like things coming in, money coming in consistently, every day. Like, not a lot of money, but at the end of the day, I could pay my cell phone bill with this, I could pay my transportation with this. So then my other like passion projects that I wanted to grow, everything was just sustainable together. So like, taking out one piece was just like, or like when that one piece took a dip, it was like, so but yeah, I always blogged about beauty and stuff like that, and I started getting so much content and requests around beauty, and I love beauty. I'm a beauty girl. Hello, duh. Like, hello, look at how I was raised, So I just thought it was really like a next step that I could take, obviously. But what really did it for me was like meeting someone who now their brand, like I could not even tell you how big their brand is now. I'm not gonna name them, but they were going into beauty they had so many, like, they had, number one, they were older than me, like way older than me, and they had a career that they actually could use the money from that career to invest into their business, which is definitely a smart move. I am not the entrepreneur that's telling everybody go for entrepreneurship. Like, it's for everybody, you can do it. Like, entrepreneurship is really, really freaking hard, and I really wish that people really spoke about like some of the hardships in entrepreneurship, so people could know beforehand, because I feel like people make it seem like, oh, you get to choose your hours, you get to go on vacation, you don't have to be bothered by a boss, like so many things that they think are perks, but it's like, yo, like, bruh, like, if you don't do something, it won't get done. Period. That's it. Like, and like, okay, you don't have to deal with a boss, but you might have to deal with employees, attitudes, just like employees in general. Like, they're people. Like, you know, people have ups and downs, ebbs and flows. So you might have to deal with somebody's ebb and flow, like, you know, and you might not particularly be going through a good patch in your life yourself. So like, you know, like there's so many different things. Like customers, ebbs and flows, attitudes, non-attitudes. And sometimes I feel like when you're a person of color and they know that you're the owner of a brand, like it's a little bit different than like if they didn't know that. Cause like I've for one seen people's like a light bulb switch in their head, like when they find out I'm the owner of the brand, like when we're standing in the store, like, oh, you're the owner, okay. Or it's like, you're the owner, okay. Like, you know, it's like, but there's so many different things. There's so many different, I don't want to lose track. I said to myself before, like, I could lose track. I don't want to lose track about what I'm talking about. But yeah, so she had the money to start her own brand because she had a career, like an actual career. Like, she was an adult. I was a kid. I still feel like I'm a kid sometimes mentally. I'm like, I'm too young for this. Like, why am I going? No, I'm joking. With certain things, like getting married, having kids, I still feel like I'm a kid. Like, I feel like that's kind of crazy for me to be doing. but yeah. But yeah, so she had like that, and it wasn't necessarily that she was like passionate about it. She just knew that she wanted to do it, and it would be a good ROI or return on investment. So I was like, so you don't know anything about this community. You don't really particularly care per se. You just want out of your current career now because it's very dry, boring, and you can't like be yourself, which I guess is a thing, but it wasn't like it was like the trigger in my head to be like, you know what, Imani, you can be successful in this. You have what it takes to be successful in this industry. Don't hold yourself back because you think that you'll be standing in your mom's shadow, or like you'll think that like you won't be good enough or something like that, you know? I had to have these like mental conversations with myself, and even then, even when I had those conversations with myself, I started Beauty Strike as like a community box. So it was like a monthly subscription box, and that's when monthly subscription boxes were kind of new. Like they were definitely kind of new to like social media, internet, etc. And I wanted to create a beauty box, which I still think is a great idea. I'm saying it out loud, so if somebody wants to do it, they can do it and run with it and maybe hopefully credit me. I'm pretty sure that this idea has been out there before, but this is what I wanted to do at, like 7-8 years ago. So I wanted to create a beauty box that featured Black and Brown and Latino owned beauty brands. So, you know, I reached out to some brands that I knew, like Tatiana's Skin Butter, and like so many different other brands that I knew, and like asked them for their wholesale sheets. And I was getting this started. Like I was about to do it. Like I was literally about to do it. And then I had the box design. I got the box design, the shipping box design back to me and in person, and I was holding it. And I was just like, Imani, you are being a chicken. Like you're chickening out right now. Like you're really chickening out. You're not being your authentic self with wanting to do this way. being my most authentic self in wanting to start the brand that way. So what I did was I scratched that idea. I came out with a few body highlighters. And at the time, I was a kitchen chemist. Meaning I was doing all the stuff in my kitchen. I was wiping it down, alcohol, bleach, disinfectant, hospital grade disinfectant, all that, and then I was like, I want to take this a step further. I want to get the knowledge that I need. I want to and I was making sales. I'm not gonna lie. It was maybe like 1 or 2 a week. But I made some sales, okay? And we had photo shoots, and it was so fun. I'm not gonna lie. The beginning stages were so fun, super fun. And yeah, it was really fun. I'm not gonna lie. And then I was just like, okay, and at the time I started working at CVS as a beauty consultant. Am I skipping anything? I feel like I am, but hopefully I'm not. I've had so many different jobs in the beauty industry prior to owning a spa. I feel like people sometimes they just think that my career is just mommy, daddy bought me something, I got it, I inherited it, and then I just run it. But that's not it. This is fully my brand, fully me. That's it. And yeah, I'm the founder, CEO, chief operations manager, all of these things until I can find someone else to help. But yeah, so literally, I worked at CVS as a beauty consultant, and that was a very interesting job because they had CVS and other companies like CVS, like Walgreens and all that stuff, they started to try to compete with Sephora because I guess Sephora was getting too big. And again, this was 8 years ago, 9 years ago. So yeah, 8, 9, maybe 10 years ago. So I was working as a beauty consultant in CVS, and basically we had our own section, our own table. Companies would bring me in for training and bring all the CVS beauty consultants in for training. So companies like Essie, we would go to the headquarters. Companies like La Roche-Posay, we would go to the headquarters, learn about the products, learn about the ingredients, learn about the trends that were coming up, and then create tables and sampling events and do just events in the store. And as the beauty consultant, I was basically in charge of creating these events and stuff like that in the store, doing the decoration, doing the decor, doing balloons, making sure we take pictures. So this kind of got me set up for doing my own events, getting me set up to do my own marketing for my own brand, getting me set up. You never realize why you're in a job sometimes until you need to use those tools and those resources in another place, in another way, at another time. So when I was working these jobs, I never was oh, I hate this, I don't want to do this. I just knew that because it was in the same industry, it was in the same field, that I wanted to be in and grow in, I knew it was going to benefit me. So like I said, I worked, and my mom had a saying work like you're working for God, work like you're working for Jesus. And that kind of helped me because even when days when I didn't feel like showing up, I'd be I'm gonna do this work, I'm gonna get it done. Because I'm working like I'm working for God, working like I'm working for Jesus, working like I'm working for my future, my intention, what I need to have, what is designed and destined for me. So, that's kind of what brought me through, because there would be mean customers. It did feel sometimes degrading working in certain spaces in the beauty industry. And people are mean, or because I'm showing up to CVS and I'm wearing heels and looking like a beauty girl, and they would be why are you here? Or what are you doing? Do you think you're better than someone? Those type of things. And then after CVS, I started working in a spa on the weekend. because that's when they needed coverage. So I would like be the front desk girl. Oh my gosh, I worked so many different jobs in the beauty industry. So yeah, like not, and then at the same time I was a blogger, so I was going to like the events for beauty, and then I was working in beauty. So I feel like if you really want to be in an industry, you got to work at it and be in it in different shapes, sizes, you know, different capacities, and not like stress yourself about like being in the cool job right now or doing the cool thing or what looks good to post on social media, you know, like, because nobody would really know. Like, nobody would really know. And why are you doing things for other people's view or point of view, you know? So, yeah, I worked at mom and pop spa. Like, it was a spa called Red and White Spa. They're closed now. It was 2 locations in like Soho area. And one was like on Prince Street, which is Soho. And then one was like, I don't remember what the other one was, but that's where I worked, which is crazy. How do I not remember the location I worked at? But yeah, so I worked at there, and I was the front desk receptionist. Like there I got experience with like setup and procedure, following up with customers, checking people in and out, time management for managing the treatment rooms. Cause these girls, like, I don't know, they at the spa, they did lashes, they did massage, and they did facials. They did those 3 services, period. And then like, sometimes the lashes would take extra long because like there would be a new tech and she would be like starting out fresh, you know? And then like, we have a massage right after, or a couples massage, and she's doing the lashes in the couples massage room, like, you know. So it made me very aware of time management, that position. And then I worked at a nail salon, the nail boutique. It was Black owned, and I started off as front desk, then I ended up doing gel manis which is like, how'd that happen? And it was so cool because like people would come in and some people would recognize me from my blog, and that would be so cool. Like, you read my blog? Like, that's so cool. Like, you know? So that, and I learned a lot of transferable skills there as well. Like understanding what it is to work for a small business owner. And it's like, dang, like when I worked there, I was like, I don't want to be that. And then I turned into that, like, so yeah, like I just noticed things that, you know, she was doing as a business owner that I would be like, I would never do as a business owner. And then I became a business owner, and then I was like, oh, like it's so easy to fall into certain, or do certain mistakes, or to have certain mistakes, or do certain things. You know, it is very easy to do certain things. You always say like, or people always have opinions and like, oh, I would never do this, but you're not in a position to say that. You're not in a position to be like, this would never happen to me, or like, you know, people just talk, like, you know. And I did that talking at one point, and I realized that, child, unless you're in a position, close your mouth. Close your mouth. But yeah, after that, then I started working in more of the medical spa field. I even have a video on my personal YouTube that showed my experience getting my first laser hair removal service. And that was actually at a place that I worked at. I was the front desk girl there, and yeah, they told me that they would help me go to beauty school, and they never really did. And after like a year of working for them 6 days a week, 1 day off a week, and still would be called in on that one day, I was like, I'm leaving and I'm going to beauty school, and I'm going to continue my business that I started, my body oils, you know, got into body butters after that. And I'm going to start. And I went to school Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, because I wanted to finish quickly and just absorb all the knowledge, you know. I wanted to absorb everything. And I was like, if I don't get started now, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna keep waiting. I'm gonna keep pushing it off. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna do it. I found a job that I could work like 6 to 9, and then weekends. So I started doing that. and it was also in the beauty industry. It's also in the spa. So because I had previous spa industry, previous sales and sales experience, previous spa industry experience, like it was easy for me to get a job, especially me being in esthetician school. So it's like leverage that. And that's another reason why I feel like people should, like, if you know you want to be in an industry growing up, like, why are you waiting to get a job in that industry? Like, no matter if it's starter, or if you're front desk, no matter if you're doing just gel manis, I feel like people's pride and ego are so high nowadays because of social media. I feel like they feel like they should start off at the top, and it's just like, that's not how things start. Like, that's not how you start. And if it happens for you like that, like, blessings to you. Just understand that you are blessed, because that's not everybody's experience. And I feel like social media shows so many people who have wealth and who have access and who have generational wealth, that when they see them going into a career or a field, they don't understand that, hey, this person's going into a career or a field that may be new to them. But because they have generational wealth, they have the money to be like, I'm not gonna work until this pops off, because I'm not worried about my bills, I'm not worried about my rent, I'm not worried about etc. You know, and then they have family that may have friends that have the same, or if not more, income. You know, like, let's be real. Let's talk about, like, social, like, how people socialize, like, you know, like, so when you're trying to be in an industry, you can't just think that you're gonna start at the top. Like, I didn't start at the top. I don't feel like I'm at the top now, you know, still. So it's just like, just really be patient and know when to make a career switch, know when to move on, like, you know when to go for that next level up, like, not staying in the beginning stage or pay rate or, you know, title your entire career, you know, like, and in the beauty industry anyway, beauty industry has a high turnover rate. I feel like a lot of people don't think about that as much, but beauty has a very high turnover rate. Like, front desk girls, like, I even Googled it, like, 6 to 9 months is the turnover rate for front desk, the opportunity to. So I was like, I'm leaving, that's it. Like, my boss kept promising me. Meanwhile, I'm working 6 days a week, going from Brooklyn all the way to literally, like, Central Park, day, no food around there to eat. Like, it was a lot. Food expensive, like, girl. Okay, I said food, and my stomach just started being like, girl, give me some. But yeah, so it was a lot. And then one day my boss came in and he, like, yelled at me because of what an esthetician did with the client, and I was just like, not to me, not today. I'm good. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to do this, and that's it. Like, I went in for my little interview. I don't know why esthetician schools be like, we're interviewing you. Girl, you're gonna let me in because you want the money. Like, I don't know why they do that whole process, like, we're interviewing you. This ain't a job. Like, what? Anyway. That's my honest feelings about that. I don't know why they do it that way. It could just be like a tour. Just, like, say that you're giving me a tour. Like, it's a tour, babes. But yeah, so after I went to SD school and graduated, I already knew that, like, I wanted to be doing this on my own. I had the experience, and because, like, the spas and places that I worked at, like, I did a lot of things without a license. Like, I said that I was doing people's gel manis. I didn't say that I started learning how to do facials. I started learning how to do ear candling, because one of the ladies who I worked with at the Red and White Spa, she was like this cute little Indian lady, and she just put me onto, like, mad Ayurvedic things, like Ayurvedic treatments, like eye treatments, like ear treatments, like throat treatments, like so many different things, and, like, lymphatic drainage massage and stuff like that. And this was before I even went to esthetician school, so I was just, like, really, like, taking all the information in. That's just, like, how I am in general. I like to learn things no matter if I have a use for it or not. I like to learn things. So yeah, so yeah, like after was in school, and I had no idea how this was gonna work. I was working low job, right? And then I was also selling my products. So I was like, I want to rent a studio. And it's like super surreal how like my studio, like when I first got my studio, and it's definitely not this price now, crazy. But even though it was years ago, right? It was probably like, I got my first studio probably 5 years ago now. 5 years ago sounds accurate. And my rent was like $650, and I did not, but then I had to also pay for Wi-Fi, which is so stupid. And I did not know how I was gonna pay that. Like, I literally didn't know how I was gonna pay that. I was like, I saved like 4 months rent up for it while I was in school, because I knew that that's what I wanted to do. And one day after school, like I was just at school one day, and I was like browsing through Craigslist. Actually, I was going through Craigslist, and I was like, I want a studio. This is what I want to do. It was a day actually too that they had like a job fair, a job convention, and I saw how like at esthetician schools, they like coerce you into going into like European Wax Center as like a first job and stuff like that. And I was like, I don't want to do that. Like, I don't want to wax people. Like, I don't want to do that. I have nothing wrong with seeing people's vaginas. Like, don't get me wrong. Ooh, can I say that? I don't have anything wrong with seeing people's pum-pums, but like, because I do it now, but I just didn't want to wax like all day. Like, that's not something that I wanted to do. No shade to anybody who does that, or that was your intro into the beauty industry, because like I said before, like if you didn't have an intro, that would be your intro. It would be easy to get into there because they would hire you. Like, it's a thing. They hire people straight out of school. They provide training on how to wax. Like, you know, they do that. But that just wasn't like what I wanted to do. I wanted to do more facials. I wanted to do more chemical peels. I wanted to do that. And then get into laser. That's what I wanted to do. I was very clear about what I wanted to do, what my strengths were as an esthetician, where my weaknesses were, and waxing definitely was one of them. Like, I do a good brow. I do a mean brow, but waxing, like, yeah, I just didn't want to do it. Like, I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to perfect my skill in that area, and that's okay. I didn't want to. Like, I know how to wax. Do I want to do it? Do I want to do it perfectly? Do I do it to the quality of what I do facials and chemical peels? Nah. So I didn't want to do it. And then I was like going through Craigslist at lunch that day, and I was like, okay, like I want to rent a place. So I got it, and you know, it was some girls who was hating in esthetician school, because I posted when I got it, but they didn't know that, like, they thought I was just doing treatments while I didn't have my license. And it was like, I have an online business that sells beauty products. Like, I needed to get that stuff out of my living room at that point, because like it was growing to the point where it was like, it was starting to become a little sustainable. Like, this can feed me, this can put money in my pocket, like, you know, this can sustain me, you know. So yeah, like they was hating, and I would go there after work, or, you know, oh child, I was up from 9 to like 12 every day doing what I needed to do. And this was like for 4 months straight. I was tired. But when I graduated esthetician school, I really had something, and I'm so thankful that I did take that time to like really just grind. And I knew I had an end date in mind for when like this period is gonna be up, because like, girl, going to school, like I lived in Brooklyn, the school's in the city, so it was me going to literally like Midtown every day in the morning, getting there by 9 o'clock, because if you didn't put your little thumbprint in by 9 o'clock, you had to make up those hours, because esthetician school is like hours based, so you have to have good grades and then do all your hours. So if you would be late, like you would have to make up them hours, and they would deduct 15 minutes even if you was like 1 minute late. So like 15 minutes adds up. 15 minutes can be like an hour. So now you're making up an hour of time, you know? So I had to make up maybe like 8 hours or something like that, because like school, because of work and stuff like that, or like me just being tired, like, in all honesty. So yeah, starting a brand was like, a lot. It was a lot. I didn't know how I was gonna pay the bills. I didn't know how I was gonna do whatever, but I knew that I had the work ethic and the tenacity and just like the commitment to myself to keep going and keep doing it until I saw results. So for a long time, I was by myself, doing the treatments, doing the scheduling, shipping product out. And at that time, like my products weren't like being sold out like how they're being sold out now. But it was definitely a like growth period, and I was experiencing growth, and I actually needed to hire somebody. So I tried to hire a front desk person or like just assistant to help me in my studio. I skipped over the fact that like in the first year of owning my business in the studio, after about 8-9 months, I actually got a bigger studio because that's how much I was bringing in. That's how committed and dedicated I was. And like, that's how much my business grew. So I opened a new studio across the hall. It was bigger, 2 times the rent. And it was just like so good. I was able to like create the environment that I wanted to create and have showcase for my products, because that was the thing. Like I couldn't showcase all my products in that small studio. It was so small. I'm telling you, it was so small. But I'm so thankful for that experience and thankful for like being able to grow and not just like skip steps and like learn how to appreciate every moment of everything. And yeah, after I did that, I needed to hire somebody. I needed help. And at that time I realized like I am not equipped at this moment to receive help in the way that I need it, or in the way that like I know how to accept it. So I took a pause on that. And then I also found out that the person that I hired was doing like facials on the low. And I was like, you don't even have a license. So that kind of got me tight, because especially while I'm building my reputation and career, like they was trying to do the same thing, but not in a legal way that could have me messed up. Like, you know, they, for all I know, they could be like, especially because they had access to an email from me and from my company, they could be like, oh, like I work for this brand, or like I'm training under this person. And then I found out that that's what they kind of were doing or saying, and it kind of like broke my heart. But that was my first experience in hiring somebody. So I hired somebody before they were like an intern, but I was paying them, so whatever. So that was in 2018 or 2019, I believe. And then I feel like it was 2018. And then 2019, I really like got a chance to really like travel off of my business, and just like become like very stable. You know, I love that stability. And if I could speak to that girl who was me in 2019, I would have so much to say, especially now, coming like 4 years later. Oh my God. But 2019, I knew I was gearing up to open the spa that we're in right now. And I knew that that's what I wanted to do. I knew that's where I wanted to go. Like, that's what I always wanted. I always wanted to have a store. Like, I always wanted to have a spa. I always wanted to do massage here. I wanted to have saunas and stuff like that. And I know that I still have to work up to what I really, really, really want. But, like, these are stepstones. These are pedestals, like, you know, that we're just going up and up and up. And yeah, 2020 was a year that I could not ever think was possible. Like 2020, I signed my lease in March 2020, the first week of 2020. And then the second week of 2020, everything shut down. Like everything shut down. I paid like number one, numero uno. At the time, I had a lawyer that, you know, I feel like she had the best interest in me, but she didn't understand how to protect me. And I didn't understand that like there was different lawyers for different things. And as she should have told me, like she didn't have experience in like commercial leases and stuff like that. She should have told me, because as a customer, how would I know that? Like, you know, like how would I know that? I was also young. I'm not going to blame it on me being young, because I still could have done more research, but I just didn't know that there was different lawyers for different things. And I ended up getting in a very bad leasing situation. Like this lease that I'm in right now is super bad. Like it's super bad. And if I could provide insight to anybody, it would be get a commercial real estate lawyer before you sign any commercial leases, because like my lawyer skipped over the fact that every year for my lease that I owe him an additional month of security deposit. So every 12 calendar months, I'm paying him an additional 1 month. I didn't know that. Like, and even to move into the space, I had paid 6 months rent up front. So imagine like you saving your last penny and you're investing in this store that you think is going to bring back, you know, the money, because every time I let go of money, I don't think about it in a way where I'm not going to get it back. I feel like that's a scarcity mindset. Even if it is at times, I do feel like that. I try to talk myself out of it because it is a scarcity mindset. But I spent 6 months rent getting into a space, and then the government, the world, I don't even know what shuts down, like, and for this thing that we don't even understand, we don't know anything about, we're figuring it out day by day. But also I'm still required to have a business. I'm still required to keep up with things. And things meaning like memberships. Before I even had a spa, I had memberships. So people had memberships who would come to me monthly, and they would come to me monthly, like all my memberships. I had to pause all of my memberships. Like that was a lot, because I had memberships, and that would be like how I would understand how to make my rent. Like, you understand? The day-to-day customers help, but like having consistent members is always the goal. That should be the goal, you know? So I had to cancel all of that. So that was like the first big L. Well, the second big L, because spending like all of that money, 6 months rent, on a place that I can't operate in and do what I actually do, which is services, that was like, what? And then like just the mental part about it. Like I was so excited to get the store, so happy, so elated, so overjoyous. I was overzealous. Like I was so happy to get the store, but then this thing happened. And it happened like 1 week into us, like as soon as I signed the lease, I got my guy in here to start building ASAP, like ASAP. He was here the next day, promise you not. And he was building the treatment rooms out. So like we had to pause the building of the treatment rooms out, because like I didn't want to get him sick. I didn't want him to get me sick. I didn't want like, you know, the other people that he was working with to get sick. I was just so confused and scared, you know, and I kept promoting, you know, the store. I kept showing what the little things that I was doing in the store to like make it a store. And yeah, it was so cool to do that and to document that process. No matter what process you're going through, I always recommend everybody to document it. Take as much pictures, videos, like you never know. Like looking at those videos now, it still makes me super happy. It sometimes like when I'm not feeling as passionate or as happy, I look back at those videos and I'm like, I feel the energy that I felt in that moment. So it keeps me going, you know, especially when things get super hard. But yeah, like, so that happened, whew, child. And then we eventually got back to working under curfew. So like we had to be back in the house before 7 o'clock. All the Uber in New York, I live in New York, if this is not understood. So I live in New York, so all the Ubers were suspended, all the public transportation was suspended after 7 o'clock, like 7 o'clock on the dot. So we was up working from like sunrise to like maybe 6:30, and then would go home and we were like working. I was working nonstop, getting these treatment rooms built, like making sure that everything was stable and good. Ordering things that we needed for the spa took super duper long. I know that people who were ordering things around that time, like certain things would take like 16 weeks. It would say 16 weeks to order something like the spa beds, 16 weeks. Certain like mag lamps and all that stuff, like the steamers, 16 weeks. So I would order things, wait for them, and then it would come piece by piece, and then I would share it piece by piece as things started coming in and being like whole. And then like, because we weren't able to do things and a lot of people were online, our online business grew a lot. So definitely needed to hire somebody for that. And that was an experience. My first employee that I hired officially for the store, I love her to this day. I hope she's doing well in her new career. Yeah, she was amazing. We hit it off like right away. I feel like I'm the type of person, like, I don't really get instant connections with people very often. Sometimes I can be a little bit guarded, but with her, I felt a super instant connection. Like, people even thought we were related to a point because we like fed off of each other's energy and stuff like that. And then I hired somebody else, and that person kind of ruined that energy that we had for a little bit until like I let them go. But that was also hard for me, like letting somebody go. And you don't realize as a business owner how much of your personal, like, things that you went through as a child. For me, oldest born daughter, oldest, I told you about my mom's career, so that made me like have to step up in a lot of ways for my little sister, like feeding her, cooking for her sometimes, most of the time, like picking her up from school, picking her up from daycare, to the point where like when I was younger, sometimes people would think I was her mom. Like I was like, yo, I'm in high school, how am I this kid's mom? Like, well, it could happen sometimes, but I was just like, yeah. But so I say that to say, like, becoming a people pleaser, I didn't realize I was a people pleaser honestly until last year. Well, I could say 2021. I didn't realize that I was a people pleaser until 2021. Like, so like while this person, not the first person I hired, the second person, like while this person was not like doing what they needed to do, I was still like trying to find ways that they could help and be in the company, because I just didn't, number one, I didn't want to hire other people and then be around them. Like, because this is still like literally locked down, literally pandemic, like nothing was open. So it's like either you had a job and you was going to your job, or you was just at home. Like there was nothing middle. There was no middle ground to go to or to do. Like, I would go to the park and like walk around and stuff like that. Still socialize with friends that like I was friends with outside, not in like close quarters and stuff like that. So I didn't really want to be around like a bunch of new people. So I like kept this person because like, and then it got to a point where I was like, okay, no, you're like disrespectful. Like you're disrespectful. And, that was my first experience in like understanding that I was a people pleaser and, not feeling super bad for people, because like if I'm so empathetic, like it makes me want to cry sometimes. Like it makes me super uncomfortable. Like you can see me getting uncomfortable. Like I will listen to people's like stories and like what they're going through at home and all these other things, and then be empathetic to why they're treating me like that. And it's like, no, like, okay, you may be going through this, but you don't need to treat me like that. And it's like, why am I even having this discussion with you? Because I'm your boss. Like I'm still like learning. I'm still learning that. Like, this is a job. You need to perform the job. And like certain times personal life needs to be out of it, and certain times personal life can be in it. But like, it was just like too much at first. And I was letting people walk all over me. And it was also my first time like having employees, having people that I was responsible for paying them and feeding them and like doing things for them and making sure that they were emotionally all right, and like making sure clients weren't treating them a certain way, because people forget that like being in a spa or like being an esthetician, this is the service industry, and people talk about a lot of like service industry with food workers, but they don't talk about like service provider like grief and things like that. I feel like people pass over service industry workers to be like people who sweep the streets, garbage men, people who walk dogs, people who do hair, people who do nails, people who do face services, facials and stuff, people who do massages. Like, you know, they're all of those respective communities go through something because they're service industry, right? You know, I saw somebody on Instagram posted today, like a dog walker made $100,000. This is how these dog walkers make $100,000 a year. And like the comment that they made with it was like, who said I need to go to college? Like, you know, like, so these are like undertones of how people really feel about people who work in the service industry, but they don't necessarily say it sometimes like that, but it can be seen in the actions or how you treat someone. Like, even though I'm an esthetician, I am a spa owner. So like sometimes people can be like, oh, you're the owner, so I'm gonna treat you a certain type of way, but I'm gonna treat this person like they're beneath me. Or like they're like, I can just talk to them any type of way, or like, get me this, or like, you know, so there's different ways that people treat service industry workers. So like even like a massage therapist, like, you know, assuming that a masseuse does certain things, like that can be a gripe that a masseuse goes through, you know, or like feeling like somebody's over sexualizing somebody because they're in, why is this little tiny gnat like in my face, but feeling like a masseuse will sexualize somebody because their job is mainly to touch people who are naked. Like some people aren't mentally mature enough to understand that, baby, even if I could, I wouldn't want you. like, you know, so it's there's a lot of gripes and things that people go through that aren't necessarily spoken about because they're not a food service worker, but we are still service industry workers. So understanding that was like, you know, a big thing as well. And 2020, I feel like was the worst year for customer experience. I feel like what's the opposite of customer service? Because we give customer service, but like customer experience, like they were trash. Like people were trash. Like I'm gonna be real. People were trash. Like there were plenty of great people, but people were so anxious after being inside for that long that they forgot like socially how to interact with people. Like, say that an esthetician is 1 minute, but I've literally recorded like journal like experiences where somebody started 5 minutes late and this woman like literally blew a gasket because she was just sitting and she just felt uncomfortable being outside. And I really like had a conversation with her and was like, what's wrong? Like, what, are you okay? Are you, my favorite thing is like, are you okay? Because like it can be super shady or super like very like, I'm very empathetic, so it can be either or. Depending on how I say it and the tone and depending on what you're doing. So I was like, are you okay? Like, what's going on? Are you like, we're a little bit behind. This is our first like 2 months opening and being open, and people are able to go outside and enjoy services and things now. Our esthetician is a little bit behind. But why are you feeling this way, you know? And a part of me loves the fact that I'm like that, but then a part of me like really dislikes that because I super feel what people are feeling and don't put my needs and stuff first, because like there's no reason why you're talking to me like that, especially if you want something that I'm offering, like a service, you know? Only a fool would think somebody who could talk to somebody a certain way would receive a certain level of service after. I'm still gonna do my best, but like maybe I could have did a little bit better if you didn't like try to hurt my my mental in the process, you know? 3 years of business, I feel like I've learned so much about myself, about being a business owner, about people, about things that I like and I dislike in people's personalities and my personality, how I want to get better, how hard it is to actually get better and put it into practice and be actively better every day. It's a lot, and I can see why a lot of people don't want to, like, who are entrepreneurs, they don't necessarily want to work with people, because working with people can be a lot, and it can be a lot on you responsibility wise as well. So I can understand like why some entrepreneurs literally just want to be an entrepreneur and work by themselves, like be a solo esthetician or be like whatever respective field you're in, just be solo. I can definitely understand it. I understand it even more as I am a business owner now who works with people. And I want to talk a little bit about, let's talk about skincare Twitter. Ooh. In 2020, skincare Twitter was super beneficial for me because number one, I had always been putting out skincare content. Like, you know, I'm a esthetician. This is how, like, this is a main point of how I was getting customers and just making those relationships with people in the beauty industry, customer wise, like how people found me, especially because like I wasn't in a storefront, so people wasn't just gonna walk past me and see me. So, you know, it was definitely a part of how I became a cool esty. But along with that came with le drama. And as I owned a business and like, all right, so when you work for a 9 to 5, most times you work like maximum 40 hours a week. But when you're working as an entrepreneur, in reality, you're working probably like 60 to 80 hours a week. And then the time that you're not working, you really just want to relax and like calm down and chill. There was a lot of drama going around, particularly like me, some things that people had done to other people that, like, I'm the type of friend, if something happened to you and somebody did it to you and I know them, I'm throwing all the shade, I'm going off on them. You know, back then I used to be a girl that used to like to tussle. I used to tussle a little bit. Not cute, but you know, I used to be that girl. So, like, I'm real spicy because I know I could back it up. Like, some people just they have a whole different personality on the internet than they do in person. Like, if I'm snappy in person, I'm gonna snap right at you in person. Like, if I'm snappy online, I'm gonna snap right at you in person. Like, that's just how I am. I don't have like a double life or anything like that. Like, so yeah, like people had beef and it would be up for me. Like. Let me stop being a person. But like, for real though, like if I say something to somebody on social media, I'm really gonna say that to you in real life. I'm still gonna have that same energy. Like, what's good? Like, for real, what's good? And you know, I've became not like that, but it just came a lot of drama. Like skincare Twitter, I feel like why are we arguing? Why are we arguing about like whether you feel like people got skin types and people don't got skin types? Why are we arguing? And these are just hypothetical things. Like, these are things that I just see TikTokers post nowadays because I've been like binging TikTok. And I know when I start making content on TikTok, somebody gonna have something to say about what I gotta say, and I'm just gonna mute it because like, I don't want to hear it. People be having so much to talk about with no experience. And this is also my gripe with skincare social media. People can come up and be like, I am an enthusiast and I know what I'm talking about, even though I haven't trained with anyone. I haven't touched anybody's skin. I haven't seen case studies on my own. I haven't done case studies. Like, I don't know nothing, but what these books and these articles and these like PhD people are talking about who actually have done the work. Like, what? Like, that stuff makes no sense to me. Like, there's certain things that are written in like textbooks that I know, as somebody who's done thousands of facials and treatments on people, may not particularly be true. Like, you know, like experience, hands-on experience, seeing different clients, seeing different skin types, seeing different people who live in different environments, that definitely changes some things about the education, about product knowledge, about ingredients. Like, you just learn. Like, I can look at somebody and can tell like what would be the best thing for their skin, what would be the best thing for them to get over X, Y, and Z. Because I have that experience. Like, these are hours that I put in. Like, you can't just like take away that, like, you know. So that's like my gripe with that, with skincare, social media, skincare Twitter, or skincare TikTok now, I guess. And for that, I was starting to feel like a little bit of imposter syndrome. Like, I started to feel imposter syndrome as somebody who owns a freaking spa in Brooklyn, New York. Like, what? Like, I was feeling imposter syndrome. Like, I felt like I was like fake. Like, I was faking it till I make it. Like, like, be real. Be freaking for real. Like, if you're gonna do anything, be for real, girl. Like, and I need to play this video for me whenever I feel that way next, because I know it's gonna happen at some point. But like, I was really feeling imposter syndrome. Like, girl, like, you have a spot. New York is one of the hardest states to own a business. Like, what? How many taxes? How many laws? How many we have in New York makes it so hard, and not to mention how expensive it is here. And I have a storefront in Brooklyn, New York. And I'm listening to somebody on social media who can't, even if they wanted to, like, you know. So I was just like, why am I even, like, you know. And that was just like a big reality check for me, because I was like, look at what I've done, look at what I've created, look what like my community and the people who are around me, who support me, who love my work, who recommend other people. I've been in a position to put other estheticians in power, to have them feel empowered, to have other people trust their hands. You know, like, you can't buy that and you can't give that away. So I don't know why I was feeling like, yo, like what? Like what? I'm gonna let this person who has probably equal or more social media following than me throw shade at me because they seen somebody on Twitter talk about, oh, I didn't get my package. Like, things happen. People don't get packages from so many different companies. Let you email customer service and let us help you. You know, like, instead of me like being mad at this other influencer because she's an influencer throwing shade about my actual business. Like, girl, you couldn't do it if you wanted to. So, like, you know, I felt like real imposter syndrome when things like that would happen. And it's just like, somebody's hating to take that time out and do that, like, and say something like that, you know. And it was just like, I had to really evaluate, just like, why am I on social media? Why am I interacting with this? Why am I letting myself get, like, feed into this stuff? Like, you know, why am I allowing somebody to mess up my day? Like, you know, when I have this amazing stuff going on in reality. And not only that amazing stuff going on in reality, but that amazing stuff takes so much energy for me to keep alive, keep going, keep growing, and pouring life into. And if I focus on this one person who's on the internet, who probably don't even do nothing in real life, but talk on the internet, why, like, where's that gonna get me? Like, you know? So I really had to talk myself out of that. And that's another reason why I don't really particularly like skincare Twitter or skincare social media. And that's why I do my best to just try to interact with people who I feel like have the best wishes for me and wish me well. you know, but you never really know. I have my stories for those too, but you know, you never really know, and it's not my job to figure out either. I'm not that detective person that's gonna try to figure out, like, have they ever made a subtweet about me? Have they ever like did this about me? Like, I really don't care that much. Like, I don't put stock into that, and I'm okay if people talk about me. Like, I really am, like, my idea of myself comes from like my self-identity and not what other people give me or what other people compliment me on or what people say like is great about me. I feel like the things that are great about me are the things that are great about me, and I feel that way about me. You know, and it took a really long time for me to get there, and like I said, I still have those moments, and that's why I said I will play this video back for myself if I feel that way again, because girl. But yeah, and literally, like, I throughout this, I realized like who my real friends were and like how they would stick up for me, check in on me when I'm not as active on social media. But I've always done like social media breaks. I don't feel like I need to be on social media every day to just be on there. I feel like if you don't curate your social media experience, then you can often feel jealous. You can often feel upset. You can often feel like you're not doing enough. You can often feel imposter syndrome because like I said earlier in this podcast, like some people have things handed to them, whether it's generational wealth, connections, etc. So them getting started on something that you want to get started on, it might be a little bit easier for them, but you don't know their story. You don't know what they're going through or what they went through, because y'all definitely don't know what I went through in the last 3 years. Like, what? I've had health issues. I've had like there was a time literally last month where I couldn't walk, like, you know, but social media and stuff is not my journal to put that stuff out there too. You know, I don't look for sympathy or like, you know, or I'm just honestly really private. But I do want to share on this platform like things that I feel like can help people overall. But naturally, I'm just a really private person. So like, I don't feel the need to share all that stuff, especially when things are near and dear to my heart. Cause if somebody say something, like I say, I'm not that nice person. I'm not that nice person. I'm not. I know myself. I'm not. So I don't put myself out there in certain ways. Cause babes. But not to say that like, I'm gonna try to fight somebody. That's way beneath me. I have too much to lose to do that. Or like something like, you know, I just won't or don't. Like, I just don't feel that. But I learned like through social media stuff, through owning a business, how like you changing, because honestly, I've changed so much. Like, I feel like November of 2022 is really when I became a good business owner. Like, I have just been running and operating, but I feel like now that I have so many systems in place, so many things, so many trials that I've been through, that I feel like now I am that person that I wanted to be. Like, you know, when I first started, again, that goes back to the thing where I said, like, I worked for the small business owner and like, I saw all the things that she did wrong and I started a business. I said, I'll never do that. And then started the business and did all of that stuff. It's funny for me to think about now because things had me so stressed out, so depressed, so scared, like so scared because like, this is just me. So scared because like, if this doesn't work out, I don't have nothing else to fall back on. Like, you know, like so scared that like people could mess up my reputation. I could mess up my reputation. And then I started to not give a flying tomato because like, at the end of the day, I know that my work is great. I know that I show up and I try every single day. I improve in some shape, way, or form every single day. I go over things, I look at things, I interpret things. I know that some things that I messed up on that I wish that I could have done better, but I always try to walk and take that experience into my next experience that I have with a person, that I have with a client, that I have with my email, that like, you know, like I just try to improve every single day. And I feel like, you know, that's just me. And that's the beauty of Behind the Beauty podcast, is that you'll hear different ways that me and other people have grown in their journey, their respective journeys, you know. I definitely want to bring people here who are in different industries, who can definitely speak to different things, whether it's medically, financially, emotionally, physically, spiritually, you know. But thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you. I feel like in the next episode, I want to talk about and go in a deep dive about friendships, dating, and just like relationship building in itself. I feel like that'll be a very interesting conversation to have, and maybe I'll have somebody on here who can like also like, you know, chat with me, chat me up. But yeah, thank you. If you like this video, or if you like this audio, definitely please like it, comment, subscribe, leave a comment of your best portion that you liked. If you have questions about anything, if you want me to make a whole video, strictly speaking of my journey as an esthetician, things that, you know, I've learned along the way, or just like any particular thing, I'm definitely open to it, and I would love to hear your feedback. Again, I thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.